The Dallas Cowboys have a problem, and it's not one they can afford to ignore any longer. We've talked about defense. We've talked about coaching, but today, we're going straight into the heart of the issue on offense, the ground game, or rather, the lack of it. For years now, fans have watched a team rack up 10, 12 regular season wins, only to fall flat when it matters most. Playoff games, national spotlight, big moments, and time after time, when defenses dared them to run the football, the Cowboys simply couldn't answer the call. Let's focus on the numbers, because they don't lie. Since Mike McCarthy took over, in 23 games lost with a healthy Dak Prescott, Dallas has averaged just 21 carries, 87 yards, and a measly half a rushing touchdown per game. That's 4.07 yards per carry on average, barely serviceable. They only topped 4 yards per carry 8 times. The median yards per carry, between 3.47 and 3.67. That's not just inefficient. That's failure in big moments. Now, let's isolate games against playoff caliber teams. Even then, the Cowboys only bumped up to 26 carries per game. But the efficiency? Still flat. Just 12 total games with at least 4 yards per carry, and a median of 3.75. That kind of production, it puts you in the bottom third of the NFL. For context, in 2024, those numbers would rank 21st in carries, 24th in yards, and 24th in average per carry across the league, even including playoff games. That's a bottom 10 rushing attack when it matters most. Even worse, the playoffs themselves, the numbers barely improve. 26 carries per game, sure, but 4.13 yards per carry, and the median still sits around 3.67. This team is being dared to run the ball by elite defenses, and they're losing that dare every time. Why? It's not just the absence of Ezekiel Elliott in his prime. It's the wear and tear on the offensive line. It's predictability. It's softness in critical downs. When teams line up to take away CeeDee Lamb and the deep pass, they're daring Dallas to win the old-fashioned way on the ground. And the Cowboys keep failing that test. Let's talk scheme and fronts. According to Next Gen Stats, Dallas faced stacked boxes at just the 24th and 23rd most frequent rates in 2023 and 2024, respectively, but they faced light boxes at the third highest rate in 2024. Against light boxes, they averaged just 4.6 yards per carry, ranking 26th in the league. Against neutral boxes, they were even worse, 29th in yards per carry. Let that sink in. The Cowboys were bad even when defenses practically invited them to run. When the old football rule says, neutral box equal run, Dallas couldn't execute. They weren't even average. They were among the worst in the NFL. Strangely, they actually did slightly better against stacked boxes, a flip from previous years. But let's be real. The elite teams, Philly, San Francisco, Detroit, aren't giving you easy looks. And when those big games arrive, when you're in the postseason spotlight, that inability to dominate the trenches becomes fatal. This isn't about beating up on 3-win teams like the 2022 Browns. This is about those gritty, playoff-style slugfests where the best teams test your toughness, your execution, and your will. And too often, Dallas gets exposed. The truth, opposing coaches have caught on. They've realized the Cowboys' run game is no longer a threat. Stack the box or not, it doesn't matter. That's alarming. But here's the key question. Have the Cowboys finally done something to fix this? In the next part of the show, we're going to break down the changes they've made, who's expected to carry the load, and whether this offense can finally become dangerous on the ground again. But for now, let's hear from you. Is the run game the Cowboys' biggest problem? Drop an A if you agree, a D if you disagree. This isn't just a stat sheet issue. It's a championship issue. Until Dallas fixes the run game, those 12-win seasons, they'll keep ending in heartbreak. Brian Schottenheimer has made it crystal clear. He wants the Cowboys to be tougher, more balanced, and a whole lot better at running the football. Yes, Dallas has talent. Yes, the passing game has firepower. But in his own words, Schottenheimer emphasized one thing at the NFL Combine. When teams know you're going to run the ball, you have to still be able to run the ball. That hasn't been the case in Dallas for a while now. The Cowboys brought Schottenheimer in to revive something that used to be a staple of this franchise: physical football. Control the trenches. Own the line of scrimmage. Pound the rock when everyone in the building knows it's coming. His father, Marty Schottenheimer, built his legacy on exactly that. The question now is, can Brian do the same in a league that's faster, smarter, and more brutal than ever? He says he wants the offense to feature what the players do well and be multiple in its approach. That's good in theory. But unless Dallas truly addresses the core problem, the offensive line's inconsistency and schematic predictability, we're right back where we started. Let's break this down further. Fixing the run game isn't just about running more. It's about running better. It's about execution, rhythm, and yes, blocking. And it starts with the structure. Dallas has the pieces. 3 former first-round picks on the line. A highly paid right tackle known for his run blocking. A top 75 interior pick. On paper, this line should be a bully. But that hasn't translated to success. According to Next Gen Stats, under Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys have consistently ranked in the bottom 5 in the league in yards before contact. That's not on the backs, that's on the blocking. They've actually been respectable after contact. So the runners are doing their job. The problem is they're getting hit too early, too often, before they even have a chance to make a move. That tells us 2 things. The offensive line is underperforming. The scheme isn't putting them in position to succeed. Even elite talent can't shine when the structure is broken. So what's changed? What's Dallas doing to fix it? Well, they used a first-round pick on Tyler Guyton, a physical freak with elite upside. That's a start. They're also shifting philosophies with coaching hires, specifically Clayton Adams, the former Cardinals offensive line coach, who's now in charge of bringing Dallas back to its roots in the run game. In Arizona, Adams oversaw one of the more creative and well-coached run-blocking units, one that maximized zone and gap scheme concepts despite limited talent. That's the kind of coaching this Cowboys unit has needed for years. Not just star names, but cohesion, technique, and toughness. This move tells us one thing. Dallas is finally serious about solving this problem. Still, the reality is brutal. Talent alone won't get it done. If the scheme doesn't change, if the execution isn't sharper, if the line doesn't dominate like it's built to, then it won't matter who's calling the plays or carrying the ball. So now, here's the question to you, the fans who've suffered through playoff heartbreak, short yardage failures, and run-pass-run-punt nightmares. Do you believe the Cowboys' run game will finally turn the corner in 2025? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments. Let your voice be heard. Because one thing is clear. If this team wants to lift a Lombardi again, it's not going to be just because of Dak's arm or CD's magic. It'll be because when the lights are brightest and the defense is stacking the box, the Dallas Cowboys finally found a way to run through it anyway. Let's talk about scheme diversity, because that's where it all begins. During Clayton Adams' time with the Arizona Cardinals, the run game wasn't just effective, it was unpredictable. Arizona didn't rely on a single concept to move the chains. They used inside zone, man gap, outside zone, counters, power pulls, you name it. 6 different run concepts, each made up at least 6% of their approach. It was balanced. It was calculated. It was creative. Compare that to Dallas. The Cowboys leaned on zone runs more than 50% of the time. Over and over again, it was inside zone up the gut for 3 yards and a cloud of dust. Predictable. Flat, frustrating. Yet somehow Arizona, with a less talented offensive line, ranked top 2 in the NFL in yards before contact during Adams' tenure. That wasn't luck. That was coaching and design. If Adams can bring even a fraction of that to Dallas, it could spark a major shift. Because the problem in recent years hasn't been just who's running the ball, it's how the Cowboys are trying to run it. And that brings us to the final piece. Who actually gets the carries? The Cowboys don't have a true bell cow back. No Saquon. No CMC. No Jonathan Taylor. But they're betting big that if the blocking improves, the scheme opens up, and the offense stays unpredictable, the names won't matter as much as the structure. And maybe, just maybe, they're right. Think of the run game like building a fire. The offensive line, the scheme, and the play calling, that's the kindling, the match, the base. Your quarterback. He's the oxygen. Without a strong passing game, the fire never catches. And the running back? He's the gasoline. You don't need a full tank, but if everything else is ready, a few explosive plays can make it burn bright. But gasoline without oxygen? Or kindling, it fizzles out. Just look at Saquon Barkley. Same player. But in New York, the fire kept dying. In Philly, with structure around him, suddenly he looks dangerous again. Now, let's be honest, none of the Cowboys' current backs, Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Jaden Blue, Phil Maffa, look like game-breaking stars on paper. But if everything else clicks, if the line is stable, the scheme is unpredictable, and Dak Prescott keeps defenses honest, they don't need a star. They just need efficiency. And here's the big question every fan has to answer. What's your confidence level in this Cowboys run game in 2025? Drop it in the comments, 1 to 10. Be honest. No filters. Now, zooming out. Football is cyclical. Offenses and defenses evolve, swing, and reset. We're living in an era where defenses are playing soft shells, trying to eliminate big passing plays. That opens the door to smashmouth football again, if you can take advantage. And that's where this moment matters most. Right here, right now. This Cowboys front office has chosen to invest heavily in the offensive line, not in big-name running backs. And honestly, that's probably smart. You build from the inside out. You build with power and control. Because playoff football isn't just about speed, it's about grit, endurance, and domination in the trenches. But make no mistake, it has to work. Because if Dallas continues to run into walls on first down, if they stall out on third and short, if they keep forcing Dak to bail them out on 3rd and 9, then all they're doing is making life harder on their quarterback and star receiver. It's not just about running more. It's about running smarter, running with purpose, running with execution, and running well enough to force defenses to respect you, to bring that safety down, to hesitate before they pin their ears back. That's how you give your quarterback a fighting chance. That's how you unleash CeeDee Lamb. That's how you become dangerous again. So yes, the Cowboys have many issues: coaching, discipline, execution, pressure in big games. But if they can finally fix the ground game, just maybe, everything else falls into place. Because in January, when the spotlight is blinding and the opponent is elite, you need to do one thing: line up and run through them anyway. Let's see if this is the year they finally can.